Excellent. Welcome to the TED Summit podcast. We have Johnny's favorite lawyer. We have Eric Troutman. This is going to be wide-ranging discussion. We've got a lot of topics to cover. So I'm just going to welcome Eric. Great to see you again. Johnny, let's get things kicked off.
First of all, we're not worthy. We're not worthy. And don't just call him a lawyer, because he's not just a lawyer, because he wins. And if you understand what he did with the Cal Stanford game, when he walked in there and promoted the place, and Cal beat Stanford, it was insane, right?
Yeah.
So since I've met Czar, I can't stop losing. I said it today too. I just keep winning. So I advise everybody out there, follow the Czar. Somehow or another, you'll just start winning, because he's not just an attorney, although that's my favorite thing about him, but he's the single smartest person I've ever seen marketing, explaining things in layman terms, and just overall genius. And he was born that way. We got to thank his mother and father, but he stood with us and he fought with us, and somehow, like Pooja said, the universe brought us together. And let's get into it before the Czar, because I think we're costing like $5,200 an hour. So, and Alan is going to bill you. But we have a lot to talk about, and thank you, Czar, for coming on again.
Yeah, man, happy to be here. You guys are great. Big fans of yours, but we don't have enough time for me to be as eloquent as you just were in my direction. But I love you too, man. What do we got?
Yeah, well, I'm the world's biggest fan. You're not my bro. It's okay. It's the world biggest Czar fan. But let's get into, first of all, your Czar coin. Everybody out there, guys on the street, pay attention to the Czar coin, because he launched it, went to over 1 million. It's playing around. Get into it. Get into the Czar coin. It's fun. Throw a couple $100 at it, Czar. I'm not sure what possessed you to do it, but if you want to give a quick glimpse on that, because everybody's the frenzy. I watched David Portnoy, who's hilarious.
Yeah.
From
yeah, Zarcoin was nuts, right? So it's just a meme coin. It's Solana based. So it's not even listed yet. We're working to have it verified. We're looking to have it listed. So it's still kind of like a pre-IPO sort of situation if you want to do it. But the thing is crazy. I launched it on last Friday, and it went from, I put like 2,500, I got a couple of buddies of mine, like it was like literally put like $5,000 to get it started, right? When I went to bed on Sunday, the thing was worth $4.5 million. Right. These
crazy
crypto meme coins are just out of control. So I put a video up on our YouTube channel because I was like, look, guys, I don't want people buying this thing and getting hurt, because obviously these meme coins, they're incredibly crazy. They go up, they go down, they crash. And of course it did crash. So my coin goes from worth $4 million. Like the next morning, it was down like 90%. Right. So these things, they're wild. But the nice thing is with Czar coin, obviously, I own most of the shares. I'm never going to pull this out, right? So like this is there for like this is, I'm not going to call it a good investment. I don't want to say anything like that, but I'm not pulling it. So it's going to be there for a long time. And now it's settled down, and a lot of people are buying in. And I think Czar coin is a currency. Once we get it listed, once we get it verified, maybe we even start to find some uses for it that are outside of just like meme land. And this is going to be around for a long time. So I think people should think about it. That's all I'm saying.
Here's my prediction, because Czar is our guy, and Czar is going to expose a lot of stuff that happened to Major Bill Peters. He's also jumping on, and we're going to get onto it with his Reach petition on free speech, because I'm not sure if everybody knows, Alan, I know you're not too happy about it, but we're living in a new world where free speech is king, and it's over. All bets are off. You got Brendan Carr. I'm just sitting here on pins and needles waiting for Cash Patel to get in, because the minute he gets in, the guys at the campaign registry better run.
Yeah.
So I think Czar is going to be a lot more famous than he is, because he's going to be our voice. I've been holding back on giving information out. Czar, I don't know if you know, Tata's been trying to sell the campaign registry now for $300 million. Every one of their private equity guys are calling me one of my guys. Why? Because we put out so much content. We've knocked out 26 buyers, Tata. Why? Because you wanted to create a lawfare fight with Littler against Bill Peters. You crumbled them, you crushed them, but we're still here. He settled, but you didn't settle with me. So we're going to get into that too. But I want to jump into what's important here, and it's important to everybody in the whole industry, is what Czar is doing here with Reach. And the time and place with Brendan Carr coming in and his mandate. And his mandate is free speech and not censorship. So Czar, you're always ahead of the curve. Explain.
Yeah. So, look, Brandon Carr is coming in, and there's a lot of concern right now, particularly with social media, big tech, and how, look, I'm not here to tell you they have done it. I'm not here to tell you they haven't done it, but the perception is, right, that it's been skewed, that these filters were being done to particularly the conservative voices, keep them quiet. And Carr's coming in, he's looking at Section 230, right, the law that built the internet, and he's thinking, I don't know, we got to make some modifications to that. And that's a tricky one. It's a big lift. But before we get there, the wireless carriers are the ultimate social network, right? That is the ultimate way that we communicate. And guess what? The wireless carriers, it's not supposition. It's not like I wonder if they are censoring. They are censoring. They have been. It's directly in your face. T-Mobile has on their website their terms of use with like mobile content providers that limit specifically based on the content of your speech, what you're allowed to say and what you're not allowed to say. It's just blatant censorship of constitutionally protected speech. And the FCC has kind of turned a blind eye to it. They've allowed it. And the carriers have run rampant with it, not just in the voice channel, but of course with SMS. And it's not just the carriers, right? The carriers kind of set the tone. CTIA kind of sets the tone. And then the aggregators, the guys that are supposed to be providing access to the networks, they're being the good little dogs and doing what they're told, and they're not letting you, register or send traffic if they're concerned that the carriers might not like it. And then, of course, you've got 10DLC, and you've got the issue with TCR. And TCR is making people jump through hoops. They're changing, it seems, like day to day, what you have to do, what you can do, what you can't do. Some people are treated one way, some people are treated differently. It's madness out there just trying to get your campaign registered. And the net result is people aren't allowed to talk on the telephone anymore, which is insanity. Like, phones are there so that people can be contacting one another. And businesses, a lot of small businesses, a lot of political folks are unable to get their campaigns registered. They're going out of business. They're losing the ability to communicate. I'm hearing, literally political content, core speech is being blocked by the aggregators saying, no, we don't like your point of view. We don't like your viewpoint, so we're not going to let you say it on our network. This is madness. This is the exact opposite of what free speech and the First Amendment guarantee, and it's not what the FCC has ever permitted before. What the FCC has allowed is reasonable analytics to block unwanted calls on a network, and the carriers took that one little tiny inch that they were given, and they turned it into a nautical flippin' mile, right? By coming up with all of these restrictions that they're imposing, both themselves and then acting as kind of a cartel through TCR in particular, but also through the aggregators. So what Reach has done is we've taken a petition to the FCC, and we've said, look, FCC, you got to put a stop to all this. And it really, from a legal perspective, it's a very easy fix, right? You can retain the concept of using the carriers and the aggregators as a private backstop to the TCPA. I'm actually in support of that. But they need to clarify that the carriers don't get to decide what content is going to be blocked. They don't get to decide which calls that are legal they're going to connect and which calls that are legal they're not going to connect. They are allowed, in my opinion, the commission ought to say, and Reach has asked for the commission to say, you cannot block constitutional, protected, and legal speech, period. You cannot. You are not allowed to base that on content. You are not allowed to do that at all. You must connect those calls, both in the voice channel and in SMS. And oh, by the way, we're also asking the commission to stop the carriers from labeling people wrongly spam, scam, fraud. Sure, if it is a scam, if it is an IRS, faker trying to pretend that you give me your PIN number to your Wells Fargo account and I'll give you a tax return or something. Yeah, sure, those people should be labeled. And God bless you, carriers, when you correctly label and save people from losing their money. But when you are labeling every high volume caller that calls more than 40 times a day as a scam or a spam because you want them to pay you carrier, for your white label service, it's a protection money scheme, right? Oh, you're calling a lot? Well, sure would be a pity if somebody called you a scammer. Call me and I will stop calling you a scammer, right? So everyone's phones, no one's picking up their phones anymore. people making outbound calls, consented calls, fraud alerts, notifying people regarding low balances, updating people because they went to the ATM and withdrew some money and they want to make sure that it's really you. And this stuff's getting blocked. It's getting scam. It's getting labeled scam. It's getting labeled spam. It's nuts. It is absolutely nuts out there. And the FCC needs to put a stop to it. Now, I will say the commission is going to vote, as you guys probably saw, next month on a new SIP code 603 plus that they would anticipate utilizing to have a carrier tell you when your voice channel communication is blocked. So that's nice because today they don't have to tell you that they're blocking your call. Isn't that crazy? They'll block your call and not even tell you. But luckily, the FCC is finally going to put a stop to that. There's a SIP code notification that now the carriers are going to have to give you, but it's another year away. This was first proposed 3 years ago, guys, 3 years ago. And finally, it's going to get voted on and accepted, it looks like. But we're still a year away from even knowing that your calls are being blocked, right? So Reach is out there saying, set the guard rules. You want to allow blocking, you want to allow redress, you want to allow SIP, fine. But what are the rules to begin with? What can be blocked and on what basis? The FCC needs to provide that answer, and the Reach petition is the way to get that done. One last piece of the Reach petition, which is TCR, the campaign registry, which I know is near and dear to your heart, Johnny. I know it is near and dear to your heart.
People there, yeah.
But I've got small businesses that are going out of business because they cannot get their legitimate legal campaigns through TCR. They are a censorship machine. It is a licensing scheme. They're deciding who gets to speak and who doesn't get to speak. They're taking a catalog of every single campaign from both businesses and politicians in this country, and they're logging it. And this is a foreign-owned company, folks. If our friends over at TikTok are a threat to national security, I do not see how TCR registering every single SMS campaign essentially in this country, both political and business. And we don't know what happens once Tata gets a hold of it. We don't know where it goes, right?
I'm going to tell you what happens.
Yeah, go ahead.
And this is why the universe collided with us. And this is why I believe in what Pooja said. So Major Bill Peters is the founder of the campaign registry, 2013. He founded the first messaging interop in the world, which is now cinched, by the way. So he founded that thing. And Twilio. So the reason your customers don't have the access that Twilio has, and I'm going to explain that to you because you're going to get really angry. So I'm going to get to the political messaging. Cinch has already fired an employee that I sent over the documentation to Robert Kirschman that was blocking messages into Arizona and California on behalf of Kerry Lake and Trump. So that's a separate thing. There was, if you read his complaint, Breitbart did a story on it. Breitbart was considered crazy. They just got a press pass in the White House. We're living in a new world, right? It's a new world, right? So all that stuff was put out there. Bill Peters was fired and another individual there. What happened was when the campaign registry in 2000, and the reason I know this is because they came to me and put me under NDA, the management team of the campaign registry, which was acquired by Calera at the time and put into a SPAC, which is a lot worse than a meme coin, okay, or very similar to a meme coin. So they acquired the campaign registry through a company called Hook Mobile, which enabled Calera to go public in the United States of America. What they did is Soren Shaft, went to Twilio, cut a deal with Twilio, 2019, early 2020, where Twilio prepaid them for all messaging. And with that, and before that, the RFP that went out for 10DLC was supposed to keep track of numbers, right? What happened was they got a prepayment from Twilio, probably to get adoption because the Calera guys wanted the cash. And then all of a sudden, everything disappeared. No numbers. So Twilio cut a secret deal with TCR, which was really bad for the industry. They changed the architecture to one where the TCR did not track numbers. Permanently ruined TCR's ability to aid in enforcement. The reason why the TCR was set up, because the carrier said, look, we're going to try to do something here. And they set it up with the right intention. The original RFP was given to iConnective, which I don't know if you know this. These are all Bell Labs guys. They run the short code registry. They have number portability. They are the most legitimate telecom company this country has ever seen.
I agree with that.
Full stop. iConnective, right? So they originally won it. AT&T pulled it away from them. They did a deal with TCR. TCR did a deal with Twilio. Twilio is now able to rotate numbers to evade detection. It also enabled them to get an 80% discount. And we're going to lay this out to you in a blog that Alan will write, and I'll have to correct 3 or 4 times because although he likes to take the credit for everything. And unlike the short code registry and a toll-free registry that work well and track all the numbers, now they have the ability to manage numbers themselves. So they can rotate numbers to evade detection, contrary to what the carriers wanted. Changes were all done in secret, and now it's too late. Now, how did I get involved in this? So I got involved. I was brought in to help the management team buy the campaign registry. Then Rick came in, got into a big fight because China was in the network. Right now, if you go to the campaign registry LinkedIn page and you look at their entire tech team, it's all in Taiwan, right? We laid out all the stuff off of their FCC filings are on who's in there. We've got Chinese companies out there playing around in there. So there's election interference like you can't believe. The left-leaning stuff does happen. Meta just did it. Meta paid $400 million. Now he's kissing the ring. Google just blocked at DEI. They're kissing the ring. Everybody's kissing the ring. It's a new world. Forget yesterday. But you and your customers got abused while Twilio was at $42 a share and sucking wind. But now what Twilio's been able to do is because they bought the 800 registry, then they invested in Cineverse, which is how Jeff Lawson got fired, and they were able to pipe all the A2P messages in there. So what happened was Twilio unleashed spam epidemic on the world. At the disadvantage, the companies that you represent at Reach that are out there trying to sell goods to people that want to hear from them. Right now, there's bad actors everywhere. We're all aware of that. But 90% of all bad actors are coming from overseas, and they're robbing us at an alarming rate. And sadly to say, it's going to get worse. Why? Because free speech is going to be the main thing. And the minute this orange guy, and I'll say that because I can't say his name, otherwise they block our thing on YouTube. The minute he finds out about this, which is going to be in a few hours probably, because Mr. Patel is going to get in, it's going to be and Brendan Carr's mandate, look, he's going after radio stations. He's not shy about it. So this is not, and it is what it is. It's human nature. I mean, whoever's in charge takes control. I've never been political in my life, but I do live in reality. People ask me, well, what do you think? I don't know. This is what he does. This is what's going on. I was raised, whoever my president is, I grew up 1776, one of the best days, our 200th anniversary, pro-American. I don't like crime. I have a big problem with crime. Living in New York, it is not good. But getting better, I think. But so, Czar, what happened over here, it's not fair to even the other CSPs. So even the Cinches, the InfoBibs, they get blocked out. Now Twilio today is $145 a share. They even complained about the registration process because what happened to them, there's a chairman of Calera. His name was Avi Katz. And I was working with Avi. Obviously, we were trying to make a deal with him to pay Bill on wrongful termination. Bill Peters got in there, helped them clean up all mess on embargo traffic. And when I told Avi, hey, did you know that you're losing 80% on Twilio because they prepaid? He lost his mind. He switched the deal on him, right? Completely. What happened then Twilio had to pay all in advance for everything they owe. They had to pay over 10 or $12 million, right? So then it leveled the playing field somewhat. And then I hear rumblings that campaign registry's got numbers. They don't have numbers. But at the end of the day, the campaign registry, the NAACP can send unlimited text, no filtering, across the board. They have progressive groups that are in there. They got rid of Bill Peters. Why? It's a former Air Force major. This guy flew 10,000 sorties, right? So he's, let's just say, conservative and smarter than everybody. So he got buried. His first attorney was David Schertler. David Schertler was the attorney for Andy McCabe. Now, Senator Menendez, who just got put away. Again, I don't want to get into politics. You may have to bleep that out, Alan. I'm not really sure. But at the end of the day, what happened here is it's a complete chaos. The carriers have the right intentions are, and the carriers follow the same rules that Meta did and Google do. They had to play ball. Either you play ball or you get come down on you. And that's just the game. And how is it now? Now it's a czar world. Now it's a free speech world. So look, they need to figure out how to protect their consumers. And they can. And there's ways of doing it. But when you understand, Czar, that the entire ecosystem is a sewer, all these SMS guys are degenerates, most of them, not all of them. There's a lot of good ones. We just had Uku, who was Alan's biggest favorite. Alan's got a poster of him on his wall. He's like, Alan does a pilgrimage to his poster because he's really honest and he does things right. But there's so much fraud, as you know, Czar. And it comes back down to your people in small business America because they can't hit people in these different countries. There's no jurisdiction. So who are they going to find? They're going to find your people. But Twilio clearly took advantage. And this is all going to be investigated. Because now we're screaming to people who are listening to us. We went to the NSA, FBI, CFIUS, you name it, Czar. When you first had me on, and I've got the former chief counsel, head of cybersecurity for the United States Coast Guard, who, by the way, is a Democrat at the end of the day. And his best friend, the Admiral, another Democrat. That aren't you happy about this? But this isn't about right or left. It's about we live in a country where free speech is important and censorship is no good. But you've been toasted. You and your Reach members have been toasted. And look, all this is documented. Alan puts together all these blogs and all these links. Nobody knows how to figure out what the hell he's doing. We haven't gone to the media yet. We haven't done anything yet, but we're gonna. And I'm hoping that you can be our voice. Why? Because number one, you're the smartest. Number two, you know all this better than everybody else. And you're the voice. You're the voice of small business America that are getting cannibalized with $1,500 text messages. While these companies in Europe, they're just sending spam all day long, robbing people left and right. So, Zoe, I know I ranted there for a little while. You may want to ask me some questions, but there's absolute election interference.
Yeah, well, I was just going all the way back to Calera and TCR being foreign owned, and you were going to tell me like what happens with the data, because that's what's so interesting to me, right? Is they've got this blueprint of really all of our messaging activity. And I'm very curious, where that's going and what's being used. I mean,
I just told you, the whole engineering team's in Taiwan. If you look at Brick's old letters, the number 3 biggest VC owned Hook Mobile, right? So the data's all over there. It's all there. Calera, Tata doesn't even know where they are. They bought this thing. They're trying to dump it like hot potato for $300 million right now because they paid $100 million and it took over a $200 million debt. Avi Katz pulled their pants down. Avi Katz, Czar, maybe the only guy I know almost as smart as you.
I was going to say, careful.
I said almost, but he had 6 SPACs that he busted out for over $7 billion. Companies that barely existed. Like he's like the meme coin, but he did it in the securities world.
Yeah.
So he's smart. Dealing with him was unbelievable, but it's completely foreign owned. What happens? Nobody knows what happens to anything. So, but I'm telling you what happened when we were there. So China was buying campaigns and probing around. Election interference, we have recordings of operators trying to block messaging, and everybody knows that. Right? Everybody knows you're one way or the other, and you're passionate about what side you're on. I think it'll happen on the right, too. It's going to happen either way. Power corrupts, right? It's going to happen no matter what at the end of the day. But what happens to it, only God knows.
Well, I think somebody knows, but what the point is that I don't know, and I don't think the FCC knows, and it's not a risk that we can take. We're talking about this.
They have no idea what's going on. The FCC.
It can't be. It can't be getting shared.
Yeah, exactly.
So look, at the end of the day, my concern with Reach and the petition, right? What we're trying to accomplish is these carriers are acting like bullies. There's no rules on them right now at all. They're just putting people in a corner and punching them and taking their lunch money and telling them what they can say and what they can't say. And there's no recourse, none. And as I told you, right now they don't.
It's going to change. It's going to change. Your petition is going to be game changing because, like I said, the minute Brendan Carr, the minute this is investigated, which is not going to be long, the minute this all comes out, and Alan's got 80% of it. The other 20, I'm putting out now. I've been threatened. They've come to my house. I've been told by this guy, I've had how many people he's killed. It's a joke, but I grew up in New York. Like, if you're going to kill me, you're not going to threaten me. And I really don't care. You know what I mean? I'm 58 years old. The last thing I'm worried about, I made it this far, so I'm not really concerned because he's a bitch. And they're all bitches, especially these people in this industry. So I think it's not going to happen in a year. I think you're going to see this all over major news because there was crazy election interference. Not a little bit. Read the Breitbart story. Read Bill Peters' complaint. I'll try to get Alan to put some cohesive understanding through the stuff that he puts out. The FCC's blind. I've been sending stuff to the FCC, and you know what I'm getting back? Hearts. Czar. I'm sending stuff myself. Now I'm getting hearts. Before I couldn't even get anything. So I've sent some people to some of the new appointees. I get hearts back.
That's great.
They kind of know what's going on.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think a lot of it, probably 99% of it is because of you and what you've done, because they didn't listen to us. Rick was sending letters to the FCC. Nobody read it except you. You had to read the Latham Watkins thing. You're like, what the hell are these guys doing here? Right? And then Pooja got thrown off because the TCR lawyer, Glenn Richards, was sitting on that panel. And then Don Dario, the Gershman guy, threw her off. And then Pooja, probably the bravest thing I've ever seen, gets on a plane and flies across the country and pickets the guy. And people are like, oh, she's lying. I'm like, are you insane? I've never seen anybody tougher than her. So she's the toughest, one of the toughest people I've ever seen. I've never seen anything like that.
I'm going to tell you, you don't know. Like, I share an office wall with her. Just yesterday, she went nuts on a level that, I mean, I can't even tell you. She is a very, very tough person. I
don't even hashtag her or anything. I'm afraid to get her angry.
Yeah, I like to fight. Everyone knows I like to fight. She likes to fight. Like when I'm tired of fighting, she still wants to fight. Right? Like it never stops. And it's a beautiful thing.
Czar, who has ever done that before? Who has ever gotten kicked off a panel and flew across country, told a bunch of girls, ladies,
launched a protest,
and then they all followed her, and they're like, "Oh, they made it up." I'm like, you can't be. All you got to do is walk in that airport. I just said she walks out of the airport. What happened to you? Oh, this is what happened. Oh, we're with you, and they come because he's a dog at the end of the day, and he's done it to a lot of people now. So Alan's been, got hurt. A lot of people aren't like that. You don't see a lot of likes on Alan's post because they're all banned. People are literally banned from liking Alan's stuff, but they're not banned from watching us on YouTube. So we still got thousands of viewers. People are still watching us. You're important, but I'm going to make a prediction here. Your coin is going to fly because the minute the world finds out about the Czar and the minute that you have a couple of hours to actually read the content that we have, like you read that letter, your hat's going to explode off your head. And they're going to know. And they're going to know. So I just want to thank you. And it's just what's right is right.
That's right.
At the end of the day.
The good news is everybody reads TCPA World.
Everybody. People don't get that. They don't understand.
Everybody, the staffers in Congress, everybody reads this thing.
Everybody.
When it comes to telecom, the nice thing is that everybody knows I speak the truth, right? I've never had an agenda. No one can buy me. No interest in anybody's money. I'm not here for any of that. I'm here for truth. I'm here to try to take care of small businesses. People are getting roughed up. I hate seeing someone get bullied. I hate that. It just eats me alive. And I'm a huge believer in free speech, a huge believer in the Constitution of our country. And I'm very blessed. I've got a great platform. I've got a great practice. And I've got the ability to do really what no other lawyer, because all these other attorneys, most of them, they're big law firms and they're handcuffed. I was handcuffed for a long time. It was terrible, right? But so I'm a very unique individual that have the credibility I have, the experience, the knowledge, the background, have the resources, my own firm, and of course, the biggest bullhorn in industry with TCPA World. Nobody else has the capability of reaching people with the power that I do. And I know that. And I take it incredibly seriously. And so every day when I see an opportunity to help somebody, I'm going to take it. And Johnny, when I met you, I thought, man, this guy's on to something. Now, sometimes I'm not sure what you're onto because you go in a couple different directions at a time, and I can only go in one direction because my mind.
Yeah, listen, I'm a little challenged at the end of the day, and I definitely have my issues, and I'm hard to understand. I don't have your training or your communication skills, which is why I'm looking for you to do exactly what you just did. So in a way, I walked you into the lion's den at the end because nobody listens to me. Nobody listens to Rick. Nobody listens to us. You know who's listening to us? Wall Street guys and scammers. The scammers are watching. All the SMS companies out there, the robocallers. Alan has an amazing community of geeks that he's built for years. So we've combined that with the rest of the industry. So we understand there's no solution. There really is no solution. They should go out there and just they got to figure something out, but it's not going to happen. So yeah, TCPA world. Look, how do you not? Why would Tata sell the campaign registry that prints money? Because they were told to, right?
Mhm.
So they're trying to sell, but they want their money because they got robbed so bad,
Mhm.
and they don't deserve a quarter. And if you read the letter that Bill Peters sent to the CEO of Tata and their law firm, Goodwin Proctor, another big one that you know quite well, before and told them what was going on, they didn't listen. They went and spent millions of dollars to destroy this kid's life. And you know what? They didn't do it. We had Robbins Capital. Robbins Capital is a big firm. They beat him to death. They beat up Robbins Kaplan. They had 4 partners on there, and you know what that's like. Lawfare, bang, bang, bang. I'm sure you face it all the time.
Oh,
So they
no,
beat him.
nobody lawfare is like we lawfare, man. When the
Yeah.
time comes, I mean, but that's the thing, these big firms, they have a lot of lawyers, but most of them aren't very tough. They're not very dedicated. They don't really care. I've seen some solo shop state law guys that can just bury people because they're obsessed. They're obsessive, right? And that's kind of the unique thing I think that we are able to bring that, there's only 11 of us as attorneys, and we handle more multi-billion dollar class litigation probably than any
Yep.
law firm in the world. And we're
Yep.
just 11 of us. And it's because of that insane commitment. Like, I wish you could see, Pooja burning. I'm not even going to talk about myself right now. Just like my partners, like, you just burn. They're so into it. They're so aggressive about it. So no, I mean, I hear you saying Robbins Kaplan's got beat up. I don't know. I mean, maybe I wasn't there, but
Well, they just bailed. We just settled. There's a settlement. He had to settle because look, well, they had a wrongful termination suit. You'll understand this, and then they combined it with the federal suit. And this guy Mark Ronio from Liller, who's also a TikTok loader, is such a degenerate, but he's good. He's really good at what he does, and he basically. Even Avi Cash wanted to settle with Bill Peters. He's like, God, we got to settle with this guy.
yeah.
But Mark Romeo got in there and he built millions of dollars. He's a complete degenerate. All this stuff's going to come out. And we just want, look, we know people are watching you. That's why I feed you. I know the FCC. I'm telling you right now, because of you, they were told to sell it.
I think you're
But
right. I don't know
what
that.
they don't
I think you're
understand
right.
is,
Yeah.
but the guys, the leadership team tried to frame him on a laptop break-in. They literally tried to frame Bill, and they're so stupid they framed themselves, right? They need to pay. And a lot of the stuff that happened in there, this is all facts. Air Force Major, 13 years, done. It's over. This
Stop,
guy,
man.
yeah,
Stop.
yeah, yeah, you know what I mean? So, look, I'm hoping that because of the timing here, you can find a couple of hours to sift through the information we have and get it to them who are watching. But I think you've already done. I think it's leashing. Guys, investigate us. How many people you see that are literally saying, "Please investigate us"? Who would do that? At the end of the day, so we'll be turning ourselves in soon. And you
Yeah.
deserve the credit.
You two are my favorite guys. I mean, honestly, like, there's so few people out there that are really, kind of committed to truth outside of any agenda. And because, I mean, you see these talking heads on TV, all these guys with their own shows on, name any media outlet. They are in everybody's pockets. They are the biggest sycophants. They are such little suck ups, and they'll tell you, "Oh, we give it to you straight." But no, you're so full of it, right? But guys like you, obviously, a guy like me, there's very few out there that literally, man, there ain't no money coming to me from any direction to get me to say what I say. I say it because it's the truth, and I believe it. And the end. And I think, Johnny, you are very much the same. I know Alan is very much the same.
Well,
So
Alan gave me Alan gave me his platform. Nobody would listen to me. Even though, I mean, I can't even sell my own company. I don't have my Tintech shirt on, but maybe you could buy Tintech from me. I got $100 million messaging company in Europe that I'm the largest debt holder on. I try to sell it to everybody at a show, so I'm officially Czar. Want to buy a Tintech?
It's funny. Somebody approached me the other day. I'm not even sure I was supposed to talk about this, but I did. I'm going to not to buy Tintech, but to buy TCR. Somebody.
Yeah, they're trying to sell it. You don't understand.
They wanted me to be the head of a group that was going to put together the scratch to go buy it. And I just thought, that's wild.
No, it's not wild. Let me tell you why. Because they won't go to anybody in the industry because everybody in the industry knows it's worthless, right? And there's a lot of hair in there. So The TCR is worthless and it's corrupt and it's going to get displaced for another reason, which we'll get into another conversation. 26 private equity groups call us for information on the TCR. 26 buyers, bang, we knocked out Tata. They had nowhere to go right now. There is no buyer. Lazard's a big shop and they're selling it. They're desperate. So Tata's got their fingers in their ear. They were looking to probably dump this before the election. Not dump. Just this week, three alone. And they were asking questions like, these are private equity groups. They look at the numbers and are like, these guys, they make bank. The TCR makes a lot of cash. Full profit. They get paid for doing nothing. They literally get paid for doing nothing. They get paid to screw up the whole United States of America. They get paid to censor people, but they're so stupid. But the guys running it are so incompetently dumb, you have no idea. You can't imagine. I put out this email, original email out, and that email when I first met them, and I literally said they scare me. Like stupid people scare me. I'll hide under the bed. You put me in a room with stupid people, Czar, and I'm terrified. They terrify me. That's how dumb they are. But corrupt beyond. But it's not the operators. And I'm going to take their defense because I know what happened here. The operators don't care about messaging. They want to get rid of it. Give it to RCS, give it to WhatsApp. They don't care. Why do they let them in there? The operators want to do what they're doing. They want subscribers. They want you to be able to get that call. They're doing deals with Starlink. The operators don't know. And they depend on their ecosystem. So from Cineverse, Twilio bought Cineverse, which was the hub for the operators. I owned a hub, Czar. We used to pump the A to P messages because an A to P message is a P to P message. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. They just labeled it. Twilio labeled it, put a markup on it, got it to an $80 billion market cap, and the carrier said, hey, wait a minute, we want some of this scratch. Sure. But we used to pump A to P down to P to P, and we would shut people off based on getting too many complaints. But now it's an epidemic. It's an absolute epidemic. And it's going to get worse. It's not going to get better. And censorship's not.
Let me ask you, because I did a blog the other day, and this is something that's been bothering me, and I really want an answer to it, and I just don't have the answer, right? Which is 2018, Chairman Pai says we're going to keep text messages as information services, so essentially the carriers can continue to block unwanted messages over the SMS.
I got your answer.
And his take was, at that time, he was right. There's no or very little spam or scam texting in 2018 when that classification determination was made. Then TCR kind of ramps up, and now here we are in 2024. Just 6 years,
Twilio
and now
exploded
it's
messaging.
all scam and spam text. Like, what happened in that 6 years?
I'm excited because I finally get to teach you something because all you do is teach me.
I don't know.
So here's what happened. Because I owned a messaging hub. And we had very little A to P messaging. It was the same thing. They weren't monetizing it. Twilio was born. Twilio took a text message and charged a penny for it and marked it up even higher. When the pandemic hit, Twilio went from $20 a share to $450 a share. And all of a sudden, anybody with an app was communicating, Uber or whatever you have. So what happened is A to P messaging exploded into the tens of billions. That's why you had companies like Twilio being worth $80 billion. They were worth more than T-Mobile was. Think about that. But
why the scam? But why the spam messages? That's what I don't understand.
The spam messages are once the scammers, and the reason why Chairman Pai kept it an information services because the operators don't want to be regulated.
Right.
When Von Cole,
I know that
because if they're regulated, they're screwed. So they kept it an information service. Nobody expected the insanity of Twilio and the insanity of pandemic. So I think Pai was just naive and didn't know what was coming. Nobody saw what was coming. The CPaaS market became worth a couple of $100 billion. Sure. You're talking like crazy money. And the A to P market is still, I think, $75 billion now. And that's an A to P message. So everybody's communicating on their phone. Pandemic hit. And it's just an explosion of an industry. That's why you've got morons. I got the only company that I couldn't sell. I had it sold to Twilio for $800 million. I found the only two dumb Germans in Germany. There's two dumb Germans in Germany. I got to find them with Tintec because I own the messaging hub. So you laugh, but I cry sometimes. Alan knows I don't have my Kiss My Tintec shirt on, but maybe you could buy it. But yeah, they came to you to buy the campaign registry. It's an information service. The carriers don't care. They're trying to pawn it off to RCS right now. They're like, here, take it. I mean, look at Apple. What's Apple? Apple's a closed network, and now UK is trying to break in to Apple. You know what's going to happen there? New guy is going to say, wait a minute, you're not doing any of that stuff at the end of the day because there's limited spam on Apple. Is there spam? There's spam everywhere, but not to the extent, right? But RCS is now coming. Right. They forced Apple to connect with RCS. They forced Apple to connect with Google and RCS. Is it going to work? I don't know. We had a podcast yesterday. I think it's going to work. We talked to Robert Viz, who will be the next $100 billion company. Yeah. He thinks we're going to wake up and the whole thing is going to disappear. We had a podcast with Uku yesterday, who's in the trenches, and he's got Viber, WhatsApp. He gives them whatever channel they need. So you've got so many messaging channels right now. Yeah. The carriers don't care. They don't want to deal with it. My biggest thing is RCS takes over, and it's between RCS and Apple. I give my phone service to whoever it is, right? Meant to whoever carrier it is. Who do I complain about spam to? Right? Who do I complain? Because they've outsourced the whole ecosystem. The operators don't care.
I mean, sometimes
so the answer to you is you're right.
I wonder if that's the end play, right? Is PTSN's gone completely? I mean, there's no telephone system anymore. It's all private. I mean, is that
that'll cost billions of dollars to rip out. Look, let me give you a statistic that I read yesterday, and I'll send it to you. The mobile operators spent in the United States 561, wait for it now, $1 billion on infrastructure, spectrum, and network in the last 3 years. All they got to spend is $4 billion. And Alan, send him that link so he can read it himself. CTIA put a post on it with the numbers. And CTIA doesn't know what's going on either. They don't know. They don't know because these guys in the SMS industry, they're so much smarter than these guys. It's like, you know what I mean? They're street guys. They run circles around these guys. And guys working in the operators, they just keep passing the buck. So Chairman Pai, he didn't see it coming. He didn't know. He was just like, they don't want to be regulated. Okay, push back. Who cares? So it's a fluke industry. But I hope you could say you learned something from me once.
Well, I love you, Johnny. I learned a lot from you, man. Hey, guys.
No, I just want to know you learned something from me. I just want to be able to say, I taught you something.
I learned from you.
Okay, good.
I do. But guys, I got to drop. I got to drop.
No problem.
And I want some like, Czar stuff and some hats and stuff.
Get some Czar gold, man. Get some Czar gold.
Listen. How do you know I didn't buy it yet? Everybody out there, buy Czar gold. I'm telling you to, because he's going to be extremely famous.
Entertainment purposes only.
Exactly. I don't have to say it. Right? You do. I don't have to say it. It's going to go. It's going to fly. So, Czar, thank you so much.
Love you guys.
And just say ginlistic. How do you say ginlistic? Ginlistic. What is that word you used? I want that.
Jingoistic?
What's that word? Ginlistic.
Jingoistic. Yeah.
How do you say it?
Jingoistic, fearing outsiders, fearing the foreign influence.
I can't say it. I can't even Google it. But it's one of my favorite phrases you use. I say it all the time. Jingoistic. Okay, I got it right.
Jingoistic.
Yeah.
Jingoistic.
All
right. Love you guys.
Bye-bye, guys.